Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of AACRAO's Credential Chats. We are joined this week by two really interesting leaders in the field, Christi Harter and Madelyn Rahn. And you all will both wear kind of various hats. And so, rather than jump into lengthy job titles, I'll let you share kind of the different hats you wear in this space. And Christi, if you want to go first.
Sure. Thanks for having us, Noah. Excited to be a part of this and very excited that AACRAO's in this realm. My work at Eastern Washington University is with the Professional and Continuing Education Unit. I'm the Assistant Vice President in that role, and I have been here 2 years and a month and a half. We are working to establish all types of fantastic partnerships, non-degree, and have been working in the field intentionally with our local, state, and national employers, as well as doing work with Skills Forward as their grant evaluator. It's been an exciting opportunity over the last 18 months and very strange to send out the last email for an agenda reminder for our final meeting, which will be taking place tomorrow with the research and discovery leads. And then thirdly, been partnering with Madelyn and a small contingent of teams to work through creating an LER project showcase website that we'd like to talk about in part today as well.
And my name is Madelyn Rahn, and I get to work lots with Christi, both through Skills Forward and the LER Project Showcase. I'm an independent contractor, but my primary role over the past 2 years has been as the network director for Skills Forward, where I'm supporting our 7 grantees in having all the resources and support they need to be successful in implementing their LER demonstration projects. And then related but separate to that, been working with Christi and some others on creating this tool, the LER Project Showcase, which really is designed to just get more information out there about the great work that's going on in this space, and all the organizations that are involved across many projects.
And definitely want to get into the project showcase, but before we do, just a quick reminder for our viewers and maybe for the first time for folks who are not yet tuned to just LER, Learning and Employment Records, and the skills forward that you talked about. I think Madelyn, we actually had you on a couple of seasons ago to introduce the skills forward projects, but from what I can in brief share with folks is these were you had over 60 applicants that you had to narrow down to 7 to get down to these ecosystem approaches where it was not just, for example, Christi, a continuing ed unit at Eastern Washington, but, bringing in all these various players, including, people involved in learning records. And so, just before we jump into the project showcase and share about that, do y'all mind just sharing a few thoughts around, you know, through that skills forward lens and just all the LER work that you've been doing and supporting, what's the importance for a registrar and AACRAO members in this?
Go ahead,
I
Madelyn.
will start and then hand it off to Christi because she has more firsthand knowledge in this than I do. But just at a high level, there are so many people and stakeholders who need to be involved to really make this ecosystem successful. And I think a lot of times we kind of simplify some of these solutions as a text solution that, you find a vendor that has some sort of digital credentialing platform or a digital wallet, and there you go. But it's really so much more involved than that. And the hard part really is getting all the right people aligned. And certainly, even within higher ed, there's so many different perspectives that need to kind of come together around a common vision for recognizing skills in this new way. So the registrar is one key piece of that broader ecosystem for sure.
And a vital component to the ecosystem inside of a university, which is, or post-secondary institute, which is very diverse and complex. And I just got off a call with our registrar, and she said it I thought very well and intentionally, that every single student's records are different and unique and need attention. And one of the reasons I'm so excited that AACRAO is a part of what we're doing around this LAR ecosystem, and especially connected to the LAR Accelerator project, is that in order to make change with digital credentials, we really need to have our registrars on board, and they need to have verified credentials, no matter what the format is, but they need to ensure that they are tamper resistant or tamper evident. And my passion around this work is that this is a more equitable and efficient manner. If we can figure out to get the technologies to work, it's a more efficient management tool for our applicants. I golfed yesterday with a friend of mine, and she works at a different post-secondary institute, and said that her son's girlfriend had such a hard time and had to work so hard to get enrolled in the post-secondary institute she wanted to. And we have to be able to do better by our learners to make things more efficient for them.
I love that so much. As we talk about, mobility of humans, that learning records that are just as mobility as the people is really important. And yeah, I think that our audience will be happy to hear you talking about just, how important registrars are, that the tech solutions are the easy part. Registrars are really key to the human solutions. I love that. Let's dive into this LER project showcase. What we'll hopefully remember put this in the show notes, but for folks playing along at home, is lerprojectshowcase.com. And something that we hear all the time from our members is around just credential confusion. That this stuff is so overwhelming. We all feel behind. We all feel just totally confused. And something that I think people are really hungry for is just examples of what other people are doing. And this website to me just looks like a really easy way to dive into what all sorts of use cases that are people vulnerably sharing how they're doing this work. So Madelyn, maybe you could kick us off just sharing just what is this project showcase and what are you excited about with it?
Yeah, it really is intended to show that ecosystem approach, and show how many different partners are involved in making a project like this successful, and show projects across different stages of implementation. I think in a lot of cases in this work, I think we can kind of let perfect be the enemy of good. And we don't celebrate the progress that teams make along the way. That's really important in getting to the end stage that we ultimately want, which is, a more integrated learning and employment ecosystem, which is a valuable objective to have. And, kind of every step along the way is going to be critical. So anyway, it just shows that there is work being done in this space. There's so many organizations that are already involved and committed to this work. And it's, just a way to celebrate the progress that we've made and help people identify potential partners, potential approaches that they may want to adopt, and really just raise awareness of work going on in the space.
Yeah, that just speaks to such an iterative place that, this is not just a resource to say, look at what's done, and it's this broadcast, but, direct current flow of information, but that you actually see it as a alternating current flow of information, that maybe this isn't just a place to consume, but a place to find your next partner. And one of those partners could be Christi. I know that this is personal for you. Do you want to share with us, folks who click on the tile around, Eastern Washington, what they might see in store there?
Yeah, absolutely personal and long-term. Like the idea of implementing this in a full ecosystem model, it really does take as many partners as what's shown in the LER ecosystem website. So evolving that into what we did with Skills Forward and evolving that into what we're doing with this project showcase. Our work with Eastern Washington University and Learning and Employment Records goes back 2 years to with the National Governors Association Skills Driven States Award. So that's where we first started learning about this in the Spokane, Washington area. The Washington Student Achievement Council was awarded one of those 10 state awards for $150,000. They subcontracted Greater Spokane Incorporated, where I was working as a vice president of professional education and talent. And then I did this incorrectly and led with how great the technology is and what the technology can do. And Man, and I have an education technology master's and doctorate, so I've been passionate about pieces like this for a very long time, 20 plus years. So I'm like, long story short, and through all of our different projects with Skills Forward, we've realized you have to lead with a human-centered approach first. So we're working on doing that at Eastern right now, in that we started a pilot project with one of the technology companies. And when we implemented that model with them, our learners, and we have a short video that's highlighted on the website for the LER project showcase that highlights these students speaking, and they could be doing a commercial for that technology. And in fact, when that technology company actually tries to bring people on board, they speak specifically about what these students spoke about. And we didn't prompt them at all. We just asked them questions about, what is this digital wallet doing for you? And they spoke about everything from being able to understand what their skill sets are, because they parse the resume and put them into their profile, and what the skill sets are that they need, and showing the difference between what they have and what they need to get the jobs, and then showing all of the different jobs that are available around the globe that are correlated to the learning that they're obtaining. And the other piece that I'm very passionate about this work, you talked about it earlier, Noah, with the individual, and being able to credential people along the way. So you're not waiting until the end of your 4-year degree to earn a credential. You can earn it like ASU is trying to do, around showing for each class the skill sets that you have for that class, and then have a digital credential, a badge is what a lot of people are using for that phrase, but have that along the way so that you can use that for employment as you're moving forward, any type of certification or degree.
And thank you so much, Christy, for just sharing from such a vulnerable place of I did it the wrong way. I think that's really appreciated. I wish more people would share that so we can learn from it. You know, I also kind of hear you echoing back to that conversation you said you had with the registrar, you know, earlier today around just, you know, every single student record is unique. It needs attention. You know, I hear you kind of echoing that in the Eastern Washington implementation. And also, you know, something that I think is really exciting, especially for registrar audiences, is, you know, what you're sharing is not just, hey, you know, after learners leave us, they're going to call us back, you know, and request an official copy of their learning record. But I hear you describing learning records that we're getting in the hands of learners throughout their journey with us, and it's actually being used, not just to ship to somebody, but to actually that they themselves are actually looking at these learning records that are about them.
Absolutely. And better understanding when they take a course, what skill sets they're leaving while they're taking that course, but also afterwards, and how to use that to gain employment during their summer break or their winter break or their work student learning, for example, work study. And then on the side of professional and continuing education, that same piece, we want to, so we've just contracted with a badging company. So through our unit, we'll be providing those digital credentials for our learners within professional and continuing education, as well as across campus for our degree seeking students as well. But being able to help people be able to use those and market themselves better and more intentionally as they want to move up within whatever field of interest that they have.
Madeline, I saw you nod along there. Was there something you wanted to add to that?
No, I just,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You know, we have just a couple more moments left, and you know, we're on the heels of the Convergence Conference, which is co-produced by AACRAO and UPSEA, you know, in the continuing ed space. And you know, I just briefly, was there any takeaway, especially something that might be specifically of interest to our audience, that you know, any ahas or even stuff that just validated where your own thinking already was going around, you know, this ecosystem around learning employment records that, you know, coming out of that Convergence Conference.
Madeline, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's almost a cliche at this point, but we can't talk about anything without talking about AI. And I think that the emergence of AI just kind of emphasizes how antiquated a lot of the systems that we use really are. And I think that was something that we kind of recognized before, but it's just becoming that much more pronounced. And also AI is raising new challenges in terms of verifiability and helping and data privacy, all of these sorts of things where, it's both kind of causing more challenges that can be solved by improving these solutions, but also just, I think, kind of raising the standard all around of like the way that we use technology in our lives. And in many cases, the way that we're communicating our skills and experiences are just so far behind. So, yeah, I heard a lot of conversation around that. And I think it has helped it click for a lot of people in terms of like why now, and why it's so critical that we make this shift.
On my end, I'd say it was evidence the importance of partnerships. So you said it with AACRAO and AACRAO partnering to bring convergence. And then the LAR Accelerator, 12, 13 different national organizations coming together to provide 25 different universities a grant to be able to learn about LAR implementation and what that would take. But also when in the sessions, and I really appreciated what the University of Memphis is doing through their partnership that they have with Sailor Academy and helping our 40-some million population that have some credit, no credential, let alone no degree, be able to get to the finish line and earn their degrees. They have a fantastic model of partnership. So I think to me, that's the biggest learning that all of us can take away, including our business members, is how we need to partner more intentionally to support our learners at whatever stage they're at.
And at the end of the day, that's such a great place to end, Christi. This is all about our learners and as you said, Madeline, helping them achieve better ways of communicating skills and experiences. I cannot thank you both enough. Madeline, Rahn, Christi, Harter, thank you so much for being a part of this edition of AACRAO's Credential Chats.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you, viewers, for taking the time to share your valuable time and attention with us. And we hope you have a badge-worthy week, everybody. So long.